Hi, and welcome back to the 10 square meter workshop. These videos are often about things I've made, and I go through how I made them. This one is quite the opposite. It's about something I haven't made, and why. Let me explain. My lathe is at least 40 years old, and I've owned it for the last 15. All that time it's had this 4-way tool post, which I always assumed that I would one day change for a quick change tool post. After all, it's what all the big boys use. Watch almost any YouTube video about turning, and you can pretty much guarantee they'll be using a quick change tool post. They've chosen to invest in a tool post like this, with a set of carriers, one per tool of course. There are supposedly two advantages to a quick change tool post. The first is setting the tool height so it matches the centre line of the spindle. The idea is that you have to use assorted shims and by trial and error finally end up with a tool height that matches. This can be a tedious, repetitive process, of course. Each carrier has a set screw which allows you to set the height, and it will stay there between changes until you sharpen it again, of course. But that's no longer true for me. I always use inserts like these. Instead of resharpening when they're blunt, you replace them. That means the height required is fixed, so you only need a single shim to go with the holder. Indeed, you could fix it to the holder, dab of super glue. It'll be right every time. I machined a set of packers to go with each of my holders, and actually of course all of these are the same height. If I was manufacturing holders I would do that too. The boring bars are a different height, so a different packer for those. The second supposed advantage is registration. If you take the tool out of the quick change holder and then put it back, the DRO0 will not have changed, whereas if you take it from a 4-post, then yes it will. But that of course only applies to the ones you remove. With the tool post itself, it has a registration point. So unless you actually take it out, the registration is not lost. So if you're going to use it later in the process, don't make that the one you change. If registration was important to you, and the ability to remove it, then the packer could have an L-shaped shape at the front, so it can sit back against that, against the base and against the side, and you will have kept registration. So it's not impossible. And I wonder how many machinists set all of their tools registered into the DRO. Vanishingly small, I would have thought. With a 4-way, you can adjust the angle of the tool for special cuts without needing to worry. You can always get back to index like that. You can use this, for example, to produce a quick chamfer without having to change tools. Although theoretically you can move a quick change too, professional machinists spend considerable time making sure that they're at right angles. They certainly wouldn't want to spend time doing that very often. Of course, when I do change a tool, it takes slightly longer. There's 2 bolts to unloosen and 2 to tighten. But that barely doubles the total time. And hey, if I've got 4 already, it's only the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th that takes double the time. So 8 tool changes and it works out the same. How often do I do 8 tool changes? The majority of my machining only takes 2 tools. One to face and turn, and another to part. Most of the parts you make are quite simple. For me, the results are in. It's perfectly clear that my 4-way tool post is staying. I'm happy with it. On top of all of this, quick change tool posts and all the other parts are far from cheap. A top quality one with a number of holders will set you back £1,800. You can buy a small lathe for that amount. So, the decision's made. I'm happy to stay with my tool post the way it is. That's all for this time. See you next time.